Mary opened her eyes and felt a surge of coldness in her veins. She gasped for air and looked around. She was in a metal pod, in a vault full of wires and tubes. A screen flashed above her with green letters. Cryosleep terminated. Welcome back, Mary Kellogg. She tried to remember who she was and why she was here. In her youth, she journeyed to Alaska, then across the wastelands of the interior. She arrived in Diamond City, the great jewel of the Commonwealth, in search of the memory of her father, Conrad Kellogg, and Vault 111. Her father's enemies killed her mother like a dog and sold her into slavery. She hated her father. He wasn't there to save them. Her slavers shipped her to a lab in Anchorage run by the Enclave. They used her as a guinea pig in cryosleep experiments, hoping to toughen her up for the long cryosleep to come. They needed Vault 111's technology. But obviously something had gone very wrong. The pod had malfunctioned and kept her in stasis for much longer than intended. Or was it on purpose? She checked the date on her BitBoy. It was August 23rd, 5077, the anniversary of the Great War. She had been asleep for almost 3,000 years. She felt a pang of sadness and fear. What had happened to the world she knew? To her family and her friends? To the human race? To the Enclave? She got out of the pod and looked for a way out of the facility. She found the vault door and an elevator to the surface. She climbed the elevator cables up and emerged into the sunlight. She blinked at the sight before her. She was in a city, not the Sanctuary Hills. She didn't recognize anything. The city was a mix of old and new, ancient and futuristic. There were skyscrapers and temples, flying cars and horses, holograms and statues. There were people everywhere, but they looked different from her. They had various skin colors, mixes of humans and super mutants, ghouls and synths. Their hairstyles, clothing, and accessories were strange yet familiar. Some had tattoos and piercings or cybernetic implants. Some had horns or tails like deathclaws. She felt like an alien in this strange world. She wondered if there was anyone like her left, pure-blood human. Anyone who remembered the past. Anyone who could help her find her place in the present. The only thing that remained the same was that everyone was still trying to kill everyone else. War never changes. She decided to look for the Boston City Library, hoping to find some answers there. She asked a passerby for directions, but he ignored her. She tried some other ones, but she had to kill them and take their weapons. She realized that the language had changed too, and she could barely communicate with anyone. She felt more lost and alone than ever. She wandered around the mega city of the Commonwealth, looking for signs of the library. She saw many buildings that looked like they could be libraries, but they were either closed, guarded, or destroyed. She wondered if books still existed in this world, or if they had been replaced by digital devices. She was about to give up when she saw a sign that said, Boston Library. It pointed to an old building that looked refurbished like it had survived many wars and disasters. It had a dome-shaped roof and a large door with a locked keypad. She approached the door and tried to open it, but it was locked. She looked at the keypad and saw that it had numbers and letters on it. An electronic voice came over the intercom. The library is permanently closed. Employees only. She said she was an employee. The voice droned out. Enter password. Mary thought for a second, then blurted out, My employee password is 123456. The door clicked open. She smiled and entered the library. She was greeted by rows and rows of shelves filled with books of all kinds: fiction, non-fiction, history, science, art, literature, philosophy, religion, etc. There were also computers, tablets, scanners, printers, and other devices that she assumed were used to access digital information. She felt a wave of relief and joy. She had found what she was looking for, a treasure trove of knowledge that spanned from ancient times when the bombs fell and thousands of years earlier. She walked around the library, browsing through books and devices. She learned about the history of the world after she went into cryosleep, how civilizations rose and fell, how wars were fought and peaces were made, how cultures merged and diverged, how technology advanced and regressed. She also learned about her father. He worked for the Institute as a hired gun. He had kidnapped the sole survivor's son, Sean. How the sole survivor had murdered him in cold blood and probed his memories. The video footage of his memories was preserved by Dr. Amari of the Memory Den. She watched. She shed a single tear. A mix of emotions: pride, curiosity, awe, and regret. She wondered what would have happened if she woke up sooner or later, or never at all. She wondered if there was anyone else like her out there, someone who had slept through the centuries or millennia or eons. Had the Enclave succeeded in their plan? She wondered if there was any hope for humanity, if they would ever stop fighting each other and destroying the planet, if they would ever learn from their mistakes and create a better world, if they would ever reach their full potential or survive as a species. She wondered what she would do next, if she would stay in the library and read all the books and devices, if she would go out and explore the city and the world, if she should try to find other cryosleepers, or her descendants, or the remnants of the Enclave. She wondered if she had a purpose in this life, if she had a role to play in this world, if she had a message to share with this generation, if she had a dream to pursue in this reality. She wondered if she could be happy, if she could feel fulfilled and satisfied, if she could feel alive and free, if she felt love and could be wanted. She looked through the archive and saw an article about her father's history. He eventually met a woman named Sarah on a night in the hub. They eventually married and moved to San Francisco, where they had a daughter, Mary. Sometime later, his job became risky again, which came at the cost of his family being murdered by unknown assailants of an unknown faction. Kellogg was devastated by the traumatic loss of his wife and kid, and fueled him with an insatiable bloodlust, which led him to brutally kill the factions to avenge his family's death. But this did not give him peace, only left him more broken on the inside. After the death of his family, Kellogg spent his life traveling eastward to flee from the bad memories. 22